More than 20 tornadoes left a path of destruction from Mississippi to Georgia, and now Chris Ballone tells us people throughout that region are cleaning up and figuring out how to move forward. And if you're thinking about driving to another part of the state for your COVID-19 shot, you may want to reconsider that. That message coming from the Virginia Health Department. Officials there say there's been an influx of people traveling across the state in hopes of finding a vaccine. It's particularly been a problem in Danville. Out-of-towners may have been lucky in getting a shot, but no longer, with health officials now doing a better job to manage supply. The Blue Ridge Health District says if you are someone who did get a shot out of town, don't look for your second dose there. All right, here's a look at the latest coronavirus numbers all across the Commonwealth. The positivity rate ticked up slightly to 5.6%, with nearly 1,800 new cases added to the state's total. Sadly, 7 more Virginians have died from COVID-19. First at 4, a Virginia university now parting ways with Confederate leaders and those who opposed integrating schools. Virginia State announced it will change the names on at least 4 different buildings on campus because they're named after people administrators say don't honor the school's legacy. As a statue of former Virginia Governor Harry Byrd is slated to be removed from the state capitol, a local institution is also cutting ties.
He was a segregationist. He fought against Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yet for years, his name adorned a female dormitory at Virginia State University. Until now. In fact, bare black poles at 4 different buildings on campus are the only semblance of what once was.
It is reconciling.
VSU Vice President Tanya Hall tells me the school is now renaming buildings that pay tribute to not only Byrd, but also educator Joseph Eggleston, Charles Valter, a Confederate Army captain, and former Virginia Governor Elbert Trinkle.
He said that whiteness was defined by if you had 1 drop of black blood in you, then you were considered black, you weren't considered white.
I caught up with students just learning the news.
I think it's a good change for the university, that the school is changing, atmosphere changing, just like the culture is changing.
Black Lives Matter matters more than ever now, more than it did back then. So I feel like that's like a good investment. It won't be a waste of money.
And now, students, as well as faculty and alumni, will join forces to reimagine who those 4 buildings should pay tribute to for this historic university's next chapter.
In their time, in their day and age, they were the scions. They were, the people to look up to. This is different. That's the past, and this is the present.
No word yet on just how much that initiative will cost.
With allergy season underway, we're on your side with a very serious warning for anyone who uses a nasal decongestant.
Yeah, federal health officials say the over-the-counter devices can actually be very dangerous. That's coming up. All right, a man left paralyzed after a police officer actually shot him in the back 6 times is now filing a lawsuit in Wisconsin. Attorneys for Jacob Blake Jr. say Kenosha officer Rustin Shesky used excessive force when he shot Blake during a domestic dispute last August. Shesky and 2 other officers were trying to arrest Blake on an outstanding warrant when a pocket knife fell from his pants during a scuffle. Shesky told investigators he feared for his own safety, so he opened fire. Blake's lawsuit claims Shesky's actions were, quote, reckless. Dominion Voting Systems has filed a $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News. The company alleges the conservative channel made false claims that Dominion rigged the 2020 election in an effort to boost its ratings. A Fox spokesperson said the network will, quote, vigorously defend against the baseless lawsuit. Dominion is the 2nd election technology company to sue Fox News. Smartmatic filed a $2.7 billion lawsuit back in February. Well, hundreds of people are now facing charges for crimes related to federal COVID-19 relief programs. Investigators identified more than $500 million taken from relief programs due to fraud. So far, prosecutors have charged 120 people who they say targeted the Paycheck Protection Program. 140 people have also been charged for unemployment insurance fraud, all since the start of the pandemic. I would love a fried green tomato. Sounds pretty good right now.
BLT, all of those tomatoes.
Why
Megan's
don't we take
excited.
it?
You really just made my afternoon.
Megan, let's just go have a picnic outside. Let's do it.
I would love it. Perfect afternoon for that. Brent, Simone?
All right, Megan, thank you. Pay it forward. That's how handyman Dan Reynolds explains why he risked his own life to help a neighbor in need.
Yeah, but if not for a random act of kindness about 6 years ago, it never would have happened. Kelly Avellino explains. First at 4. What a priceless gift.
Yeah, that's a great message.
All right, do you still track your finances the old-fashioned way with a paper and pen?
If so, this year may be a good time to learn how to use some new tools. We're on your side.
All right, Simone, do you still use a checkbook?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah. I got rid of it a while ago. But let's face it, some of us really are still stuck in the Stone Age when it comes to those financial websites and even the banking apps.
There's nothing wrong with a little old school, but
Nope.
a good way to tackle 2021 may be to take the time to learn how to use some brand new tools. Rachel DePompa is showing us how to make the change.
Old habits hard to break, Rachel, but thanks.
Good tips there.
All right, some new challenges now when it actually comes to the crisis at the border.
We'll tell you how the Biden administration says.
Plus, is it allergies or COVID? With the weather changing, it can be really hard to tell. So we're on your side with how you can spot the difference between symptoms when First at 4 continues. And more doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are on the way. The White House announced today 11 million more doses of its coronavirus vaccine are being delivered next week. Virginia is getting a total of 49,000. The Biden administration's goal is to administer 200 million shots in the president's first 100 days. Currently, 1 in 3 adults in the U.S. have now been vaccinated. And if you're not feeling your best these days, the first thought on everyone's mind is COVID, but it could just be your allergies.
Telling the difference can be difficult this.
All right, Megan, we'll see you in a bit. A new report now revealing the number of people who died in Texas. This is as a result of last month's ice storm. The Texas Department of Health says the winter storm claimed at least 111 lives. It says a majority of those victims died of issues related to hypothermia. But road accidents, carbon monoxide poisonings, and other incidents also contributed to that death toll. The storm knocked out power to 1 million Texans at one point, while the temperatures dropped to record lows. President Biden now sketching out an ambitious agenda moving forward, and some lawmakers on both parties are questioning how much it will cost and how he plans to pay for it. Still, much of it is now being overshadowed by the crisis at the border. The administration is urgently trying to stem the flow of migrants. Alice Barr now with the latest from Washington.
Feels like a magical moment.
It sure does, but for one couple, the birth of their baby boy truly was a miracle. More on a 57-year-old's emotional journey to motherhood.
Fighting cancer.
How about that? Let's go ahead and also check one last look at the stock market. These are the best numbers of the week, with the Dow gaining more than 450 points. First at 4 is coming right back. Well, an 8-year-old girl in California just broke the national record for the most Girl Scout cookies ever sold in a season. This year, her troop couldn't set up in front of stores, so Lily Bumpus set up a stand outside of her own home. At a special celebration, she learned she sold more than 32,000 boxes.
Thought, wow, I never knew I could do that. And it just meant so much to me to see that huge number. That's like the biggest number I've ever seen.
What a mature young lady. Lily has a bigger mission here. She is a cancer survivor and collected more than 5,000 donated boxes to be delivered to other children fighting cancer. She says it is her dream for any of the proceeds to go toward childhood cancer research.
Amazing young lady.
I'd say. Well, businesses are struggling enough amid this pandemic.
So a pizza place definitely could have.
And a man waiting for his final paycheck gets paid in pennies. He says that's not the only petty part of this story. Those details are coming up next. An Atlanta man received his last paycheck from his former job, but the way it came in brings new meaning to the word petty. Andreas Flatten quit his job after arguing with his boss at A.O.K. Walker Luxury Auto Works. He was owed $915, and months later, his ex-boss finally paid it, but in pennies. They were dumped in his driveway along with his final pay stub, left with a pretty explicit message. The load is so heavy it flattened the tires on a wheelbarrow. Get this, all 91,500 of those pennies are covered in what's believed to be power steering fluid.
Sucks.
Flatten is now working to clean up his money. He says it took 2 hours to clean $5 worth of pennies. Well, here's something you don't see every day. Sharks swimming in the back of a truck. A woman was driving on I-95. This was in Baltimore.
Oh my goodness.
When she spotted them swimming in that container there. Someone in the car recorded video of this shocking sight. Right now, there's no word on where the sharks were headed. How about that? All right, country singer Dolly Parton now has her very own ice cream. On Thursday, ice cream company Jenny's announced they've made ice cream in honor of the legend. The company says the Dolly ice cream has layers of salty pretzel streusel, sweet and tangy cream cheese ice cream, and strawberry sauce. Are you hungry yet? It will be released April 8th and benefit Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. Now, the program gives free books to children from birth all the way until the age of 5.
Brent.
All right, Megan, thank you. Next on Live at 5, the CDC says schools can reduce the distance between students to just 3 feet. But Henrico still plans to keep them 6 feet apart. We're on your side with more on that decision that they say will keep your students safe.